All right, let's talk about the M-type brain. We're going to find out why that thing you've always thought of as a flaw, well, it might just be your greatest superpower. So, let me ask you something. Do you feel like you can never stick to just one thing? Like, you spend your whole life hearing people say, you just need to focus. Maybe you jump from one passion to the next, and you've started to think, man, what's wrong with me? Am I just scattered? Society has this really clear script for what success looks like, right? It's pick one path, get really good at it, and just stick with it forever. But here's the thing. What if that script just doesn't sit? What if your brain is actually wired for many paths, not just one? Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll clear up a huge misunderstanding. Then we'll look at the specialist versus the multipotentialite. We'll map out the M-type journey, get into the science of why your brain loves novelty, and finally, figure out how you can thrive with this incredible brain. All right, let's get right to the most important thing I want you to hear today. If you're someone who is constantly exploring new interests, you are not broken. You're not failing. You just might have what we call an M-type brain. You, my friend, are a multipotentialite. So what in the world is a multipotentiality? It's a term that got really popular thanks to a scientist named Emily Wapnick. And it basically describes someone, maybe someone like you, with tons of different interests and creative passions. It's for the person who doesn't have one true calling, but has like a dozen of them. It's a name for those of us who are wired for breadth, not just depth. You see, our world tends to put one type of person on a pedestal, the specialist. But that is absolutely not the only way to be successful. There are actually two completely different and equally valid paths you can take in life. Let's use an analogy here. Think of it like this. On one side, you've got the mountain climber. This is the specialist. They pick one huge mountain and spend their entire life climbing to the top. It's a straight, predictable path. But then, you've got the explorer. That's the multipotentialite. Their path isn't a straight line. It's a winding, creative road that goes through all sorts of different landscapes. For them, the goal isn't just mastery, it's innovation. Now, from the outside, the explorer's journey might look kind of random, right? Like they're just jumping all over the place. But it's not random at all. It's actually a pretty predictable process that happens in 3 clear stages. So the journey starts with the scanner phase. This is usually when you're younger, maybe before 20. You're just driven by this intense curiosity to explore, well, everything. Then you move into the multipotentiality phase. Here, your interests start to narrow down a little, and you begin building some real skills in a few key areas. And then comes the polymath stage, which often hits around age 40. This is the magic part, where you bring all those different skills together to create something totally new and innovative. And if this whole path sounds a little unfamiliar, it's probably because our society has kind of forgotten about it. But believe me, history is packed with polymaths. Think about it. Leonardo da Vinci, he was a painter and a scientist and an engineer. Rabindranath Tagore was a poet, a painter, a philosopher. The list goes on. Benjamin Franklin, can you imagine telling any of those guys to just pick one thing? It's ridiculous. Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating, because this isn't just about your personality, This is biology. Your drive to explore, to learn new things, it's literally hardwired into your brain's chemistry. So here's the key. M-types have what's called a novelty-seeking dopamine system. Okay, what does that mean? Well, a specialist's brain gets that little reward, that dopamine hit, from repetition and deep focus. But your brain, it gets its reward from learning and experiencing new things. That's why you get that jolt of excitement, that kick when you start a new hobby or dive into a brand new subject. Your brain is rewarding you for it. So let's look at the actual hardware in your head. Your prefrontal cortex? Think of it as a super efficient CEO who can easily track multiple projects at the same time. Then there's the anterior cingulate cortex. This is like a super fast quick switch button, letting you jump from topic to topic without missing a beat. And finally, the basal ganglia. That's the reward center, the part that gives you that delicious dopamine hit when you learn something new. See? Your brain is literally built for this. So by now, you're probably asking yourself, wait a minute, is this me? And if the answer is yes, the next question is, okay, so what do I do with this? Well, let's open up the user manual for your amazing, unique brain. Okay, let's do a quick check-in. Just see how many of these sound like you. Do you have this just insatiable curiosity about everything? Do you pick up new skills like crazy fast as long as you're interested? Are you really good at seeing connections between things that seem totally unrelated? What about this one? Do you get bored with something almost as soon as you've mastered the basics? And finally, do you ever get stuck in analysis paralysis because you just have too many interests to choose from? If you're nodding along to a bunch of these, then yeah, you are very likely an M-type. You know, the biggest challenge for an M-type isn't actually a lack of focus. It's being measured by the wrong ruler. It's like that famous quote often attributed to Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. You're not supposed to be climbing a tree. You're a fish. You're meant to thrive in the huge, wide-open ocean of knowledge. So let's completely reframe this. It's time to stop beating yourself up, to stop telling yourself you need to just focus on one thing. Instead, I want you to recognize that your relentless, boundless curiosity, that's not your flaw. It's not a weakness. It is your single greatest strength. It's your superpower. Because think about it. Your ability to learn across so many different fields means you see the world in a way that specialists can't. You can connect ideas that nobody else would ever think to put together. And yeah, the world absolutely needs specialists, but it is desperate for innovators, for people who can connect the dots. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know you have this superpower, what dots are you going to connect?